News that we are following here at the moment are the remarks being made by India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. He's made a big remark about India-US relationship. Jaishankar opens up about tariffs and trades. Had a very open conversation about tariffs with the United States of America. Amid the Trump tariff showdown, External Affairs Minister speaks about India-US relationship. Trade Pact was a part of the agenda in the talks that we had with the United States of America. Let's listen into what the External Affairs Minister said.
I must say, in all honesty, it's not surprising. If you actually tracked it and assume that most of the time, political leaders at least do much of what they promise to do. They do not always succeed, or they do not always get everything they want, but as a general principle, when people, when political forces or political leaders have an agenda, and particularly if it is one which they have developed over a fairly long period of time and have been very articulate, even passionate about it, then I think much of what we have seen and heard over the last few weeks was to be expected. So I'm a little surprised that people are surprised. Now, that said, is it good for India? In many ways, I would say yes. My Prime Minister was in Washington about 2 weeks ago. I had accompanied him. I was myself there for the presidential inauguration. And when I look at our interests and our expectations of the relationship, I think there's a lot of promise we see there. If one looks, at our own relationship politically, to be very honest with you, we've never had any issues with American presidents, at least in recent times. There's no baggage which we carry or burden that the relationship carries. We had a very open conversation about it, and the result of that conversation was that we agreed on the need for a bilateral trade agreement, and our trade minister, in fact, is there in Washington doing exactly that right now.
My colleague Shashank Mattu is now joining me on the story. Shashank, while most of the countries are now looking at these tariffs and saying that this is something which they were not expecting, it is wrong, we are seeing a very clear line being taken by India, and the External Affairs Minister said that he is not surprised by what's happened, rather he is surprised that some people are surprised.
Well, you're absolutely right. Look, tariffs and trade are going to be a significant pain point, especially with the Trump administration. But the tone that you're hearing from External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, in contrast to a lot of other countries, is that India seems to feel that it has the issue fairly under control. They pitched for a bilateral trade agreement between India and the United States. It has been talked about for some time during Prime Minister Modi's visit, to get ahead of a lot of these questions and say that, look, let's sit down in a systematic way and try to figure out whether there is a middle ground between India and the United States that gives both countries a little bit of what they want, which is why the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is in America. There are also going to be a set of conversations about frameworks like the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework that was set up during the Biden administration, and now the question is whether they will continue under the Trump administration. So there's a whole slew of economic cooperation issues that need to be resolved that India wants to get ahead of. India has seen what has happened with Canada and with Mexico and with other global economies when they have had troubles with the United States, and India doesn't want to get into that position. So what the External Affairs Minister is signaling here is that, look, we have a broadly strong relationship with the United States. Tariffs is one side of that issue, and we're getting ahead of that issue. So he's expressing a lot of confidence in where the India-US relationship is going to go and how his government is going to handle Trump.
Thank you, Shashank, giving us those details and also saying that a very clear line is being drawn. India understands how they need to deal with the United States of America, and with regards to the tariffs and the taxes, it's something that both the US and India had a long conversation about.